Welcome to The Real Life Buyer. In this podcast, you will discover interviews with procurement and technical experts, business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. These experts will help you to develop and grow, accelerate your career, improve your business, save money, and buy smart. Now introducing The Real Life Buyer, Dave Barr.
Hello, and welcome to The Real Life Buyer. Today, I'm ever so pleased to introduce you to Mark and John Cronin, founders of John's Crazy Socks, based in Melville, New York, who have a mission to supply both great socks, but also spread lots of happiness at the same time. Mark and John have a heartwarming story of a father and son team that have created not only a successful business, but a community and social enterprise that cares for one another and provides tremendous support and joy to all, whether a customer or employee. Today, they are with me to share their story of bootstrapping the business and growing it to the point where they've reached more than $12 million in annual revenue, possibly even more now after Christmas. So whilst ensuring their values and beliefs are interwoven through everything they say and do. So without further ado, I'm delighted to welcome John and Mark onto the podcast. Hi, guys.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
We're glad to be here. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
I'm absolutely delighted, guys. So, chaps, maybe I can start asking some questions through yourself, John. But it's my understanding that it was your idea to create this business, as you found as being a person with Down syndrome, you could not find work or a training program that met your needs and aspirations. So perhaps you could tell the listeners a little bit about your story, the challenges you faced when seeking employment, and perhaps share some of your past experiences.
Well, I'll take it. You got it right. John was in his last year of high school, trying to figure out what is he going to do next. Not a lot of options for people with different abilities, right? But you're a natural entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
If John couldn't find a job he wanted, what were you going to do?
I want to do. I want to create one. I want to make one.
And what did you tell me?
I want to play with my dad and nice fathers have been together.
He came to me and said, Dad, I had some online businesses. He said, Dad, I want to go into business with you, which is really cool. I'm a fortunate man. I've got 3 sons. John's the youngest of them. And this is one I can work with. So, and then like much of your audience and many entrepreneurs, John's got a lot of ideas and some of them are even good ideas. So what was one of your ideas for a business?
One of them is socks.
Well, before socks.
A food truck. I come idea from the movie Chef that John Favreau, the movie about father's business.
So he comes and says, we should open a food truck. And we start thinking about this. What could we make? What could we do? And where would we put it? But we ran into a problem.
We can't cook.
Yeah. But then you had it right, Dave. It was John's idea to sell socks. Right before Thanksgiving in the U.S., which was late November, you came and said, let's sell socks.
I did. I want to start printing socks. Why socks? It's fun. It's colorful. It's creative. I'll always let me be me. I want to create this my whole life.
We used to drive around looking for crazy socks for John. So when he suggested this, I was like, oh, this could work. Because if he loves socks as much, surely we could find the tribe. Surely we could find others, right?
Right.
And you didn't just say we should sell socks. You had the name.
I got a name. I tried the website. I kept an idea.
You had a lot of ideas, right? So we went the lean startup route. We didn't prepare a very detailed business plan. We said, let's get something up and running and see if it'll work. So we built a website on the Shopify platform. We got a little bit of inventory. We're bootstrapping, so not a lot of resources. You got to make do what you have. I took out my cell phone and we'd make videos. And who was in those videos?
I am. I'm talking about socks. Socks, more socks.
And we'd share that on Facebook. And word slowly began to spread. Yeah. What day did we open?
We opened on Friday, December 9th, 2016.
And you never know what you're going to get, right?
Absolutely.
So we were very fortunate. We got what felt like a flood of orders the first day. And they were mostly local. We live in a town called Huntington on Long Island. We're about 35 miles outside New York City. And that made sense. He was in the high school. That's where we lived. We had temporary office space there. What did we do with those first orders?
We did our home delivery. We got our boxes, and I put our socks. I put socks, and I put thinking about, and we
put candy in, right?
We got candy.
We loaded up the car, and we drive around, and John knocking on doors, delivering those socks. And how the customers respond?
Customers loved it, and they they took a photo, took a pictures, and put it on social media. And when I get a spread.
So that's how we got started, and it really was John's idea. He was the driving force behind it.
Fantastic, lovely, lovely. So one of the things I've noticed on your website, you mention about 4 pillars in your business. Can you kind of explain what those pillars are and why you chose those specific pillars?
Right now we're growing it, so we've made clear that there's 5. So it's inspiration
and hope, give it back, 5 products you can love, make it personal,
and making it a great place to work.
Okay.
So let me quickly walk through those for you.
Yeah, please.
So overall, what's our mission?
Spread happiness.
If we want to spread happiness, we've got to start at home. You've got to have our colleagues have to be happy, have to find meaning and purpose in the job. And that's really important to us, to make this a great place to work where there's a mission worthy of people's commitment. Everybody knows how they serve that mission, that purpose. There's no cog in the machine. There's no make work jobs. Put people in a position to succeed. Don't ask them to do what they can't do. Recognize the work that everybody does. Pay them fairly. Treat people well. Say thank you. And then stay the hell out of the way. Let people do their work. Right? So that's one. And then making it personal. You've already said what goes in every package.
Every package, I dig in there, I wrote, and I put a candy.
So it is now a photocopied thank you note, a handwritten note, because we've shipped over 360,000 packages. John's hand would get tired writing all those notes. But we're always looking for ways to connect with our customers. We're not pursuing simply transactions. We want to share an experience and share that with our customers. So, you get a package from us. It's got John's smiling face on the outside. You open it up, you get your socks. You get the handwritten thank you note. On the flip side of that is the story of John's crazy socks. You get a package of candy. You get a thank you note. A discount card. And on the packing slip, you'll see a picture and the name of the person who packed your order. So you're not just getting socks in a package. You're getting a little dose of happiness. And then fun products you can love. Yes, we're a social enterprise. We have a definite social mission. But at our heart, we have to be a great e-commerce business. We've got to have a great website, got to have great selection, great products, and great service. So when we started, we could put all the different socks we had on one table. We had an update yesterday at our monthly management meeting. We now have 4,000 different sock choices, which makes us the world's largest sock store. The customers are happy. We have 29,000 5-star reviews, and we do same-day shipping. So if an order comes in today, it's going out today, and we do that all through our busy season. We do better shipping than Amazon, and Jeff Bezos is not putting a thank you note and candy in those Amazon packages. But then giving back, from day one, we promised 5% of our earnings to the Special Olympics. And why the Special Olympics?
I am best Olympic athlete.
And we've gone on to create products that raise money and awareness for certain causes. So that's Down syndrome.
Down syndrome, autism,
cerebral palsy.
And we have last year we had health care. So we have out to the frontline workers.
We have pet rescue socks.
Yeah.
We sponsor an Autism Can Do scholarship because it's not enough just to sell stuff. You got to give back. So we've raised over $450,000 that we've donated to our charity partners. But the most important pillar is inspiration and hope. We want to show the world what's possible. We want to show what people with different abilities can do. And it starts here with John, right?
Right.
You have Down syndrome.
I do.
What do you say about Down syndrome?
I have Down syndrome. Down syndrome never hold me back.
It does not. And John's the face of the business. We've been able to create 31 jobs. 22 of those are held by people with different abilities. And it's not enough just to hire people. We want to show. So we create content all the time that we share on social media, YouTube videos. We hold public events. We do tours, and we have work groups come in from social service agencies. We do a lot of speaking engagements. We do advocacy work. So we've testified twice before the U.S. Congress. We've spoken at the United Nations. Anything we can do to say, look, give people a chance, look what they can contribute.
It's a fantastic story. And you guys are, a full-time working chaps. It doesn't matter what time of the day or night almost, but the sounds of things, you guys are really engaged in everything to do with this.
We're incredibly fortunate. We're incredibly grateful to get to do what we do.
Yeah.
And we've made a big promise to the world. So now we have to fulfill it. And the business has given us a platform where people like you are willing to talk to us. And therefore, that creates an obligation on our part that we have to make use of that.
Yeah. Superb. Let's peel back a little bit of the time here. And you mentioned, obviously, you went out looking for suppliers of socks and so forth. And how did you first become established with some of these new suppliers? They'd never met you before. They didn't know who you were. They're just a couple of guys coming in looking for some socks. How was that first year or two of that journey?
Well, it was hard at first. There was a bit of a catch-22. We reached out to suppliers, and there are now, a gazillion sock companies. And we were getting told, we're not going to sell to you until you demonstrate to us that you have customers. Well, how can I demonstrate that if you won't sell to us? So we started with 3 or 4 that it took cajoling and talking to convince them to sell us some goods. And we were paying up front. There was no credit involved. And I'll tell you a somewhat humorous, anecdote about entrepreneurism, right? So when we started, we didn't know what to expect. And I told you, the first couple of days, we got a flood of orders. So we were running out of inventory. What'd we do? We went to every Kmart, which used to be a box store here in the US, every Kmart within a 50-mile radius, and bought all of the socks we could. Because, we weren't going to make any money, but at least we'd had some inventory to sell to customers. But what happened is, as we grew, we established ourselves, and now more people were willing to sell to us. And then we grew quite dramatically in our first year, 2017. And so some of those suppliers that were hesitant to sell to us, we wound up being one of their best customers. And that let us then get credit terms and payment terms and discounts over volume. But we want to work closely with our suppliers because everybody should succeed. Right? So we always made sure we paid quickly, and we would work with them to carry their inventory.
Yeah. I understand you've sort of built an alliance with, is it one or more of those suppliers now? Is that correct?
So here's one of the things: we bootstrapped. So we had no financing. We were paying as we went. And our first year, we did very well. And you mentioned a number before. We're not doing $12 million a year, but our first year we did $1.7 million in revenue. That was pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we made a nice little profit, only that didn't mean we had any cash, right? Because you're sinking that back into the business. And our second year, we exploded because of a series of viral events and media coverage and media events. In your own country, the BBC did an interview with us in January of 18, and they put out a video, and we expected, you might get a little blip. Last I looked, that video had over 40 million views. So we ended that year, again, doing really well, almost 3 times our revenue. On paper, we had a profit and we had no money. I'm talking to my accountant saying, how could this be? He said, Mark, let's walk in your warehouse. That's where your money is, your inventory. We went out looking for financing in 2019. The banks came in and said, oh, we love this. We love the story. We love the growth. We love the profit. We're not going to lend you money. We're not going to give you any money because you're a startup and we don't trust you. So then we started running out of money, and we had some investors come in. Oh, we love this. Well, what they wanted to do was buy the brand and shut us down.
Right.
That wasn't going to work. We were close to bankruptcy when we found the perfect partner, a third-generation family business that manufactures socks for department stores and brand names. They've been around 60 years. So we struck a deal. We met each other in December of 19 and had signed a deal by February of 20, which gives us stability, gives us somebody that can manufacture for us. And we're still carrying many other people's socks, but that's a challenge. When you bootstrap, you don't have that capital. And, people, they ask, getting started is easy. Growth is really hard.
Scaling the business, yeah, absolutely. Okay. And was it this kind of time that your own designs, your own thoughts about the socks you wanted to sell came about? Because you were selling other people's designs, I guess, before them?
Yes. And it came about, again, because of John. So, it's January of 2017, and we are learning firsthand, nobody buys anything in January because they spent all their money at the holidays. And that's when we realized that people celebrate World Down Syndrome Day, which is March 21st, by wearing crazy socks. So we went out looking for a Down syndrome sock that we could sell. We couldn't find one. And what do you say?
I want to create one. I want to make one.
So John designed the sock, and we found somebody to manufacture it for us. So that was our first design. And we've gone on and made many more since then. This year, we're going to move into the wholesale market. So by October, we will have more than 100 new designs of our own that we're manufacturing on top of, we already have about 100. So that's been an evolutionary process.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. And do your own customers suggest designs as well, or is it just
everybody
internal?
suggests designs, and we listen to everybody, right? Some come from John. Everybody here will suggest things. We listen to customers all the time on suggestions, and we're always rotating things in, always adding new things, letting some other things fade out. We'll listen to our suppliers. They'll tell us things they like. In many businesses, you can apply the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of your product or your customers generate 80% of your sales. That's not our business. It's much more like 45, 55. We have a long trail because you get to personalize things so much.
Yeah.
So it's the selection that really matters.
Yeah. So you mentioned you've got obviously a number of suppliers now. So how do you, when you work with them, you trade with them, how do you ensure they actively embrace your principles and culture with their own business, so they are an extension of the way you work?
There are certain standards that we require of them. We have shared what we do with them. Here's in the U.S. and much of the U.S., there's a growing labor shortage. People can't find enough good workers. At the same time, 70% of people with a disability are unemployed. Guess what? There's a fit there. And what we're always doing is showing that hiring people with differing abilities is not altruism, that it's good business. So we don't beat our suppliers over the head and say, we're not large enough yet to say, okay, we're only going to work with you if you hire a certain number of people with a different ability. We are showing them the financial rationale for doing that.
So does that mean there needs to be a kind of fundamental mind shift in those other business owners to make them realize the huge potential and the gifts that people with different abilities contribute to the workplace? How do you go about making that mind shift?
I think it's your classic show, don't tell. We could preach about it, but it's much more effective when we stand up in front of an audience and share about our business and share successes. We recently recorded our second TEDx talk on this very theme of, how hiring people with different abilities is not altruism, it's good business. And we walk through and demonstrate businesses that are having great success because of whom they hire. And that's everything from small businesses like Rising Tide Car Wash or Spectrum Design to Microsoft and IBM and Ernst & Young. So that's what we keep trying to do. And I'm optimistic that the pain of the labor shortage will actually lead to improvements.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think the businesses see the risk as being additional cost and like a HR involvement?
There's fear. Yes. I think there's fear. It's a lack of familiarity. And then it's, we're going to have to invest so much. And I've been on panels with, Fortune 500 companies and, we hired people in HR and we did this and we did that. And then they've hired one summer intern. And what we want to show is we're a couple of knuckleheads selling socks. We have no government funding. We have no special programs, no special training. And yet we do this because it's good business and it's easy to do. So we want to dispel some of those fears, but you got to show people.
Yeah. Yeah. See it working.
There is no business that we have ever heard of that started to go down this path and then said, it's a mistake.
That's good. That's good. So I guess you actually invite perhaps suppliers and even other people to come into your business and see it in operation then.
We give tours all the time.
Absolutely.
We welcome people in. I mean, that's, we do the speaking engagements to share with people. It's some of the advocacy work we do. So we've gone to U.S. Congress to bring it to them. But we love when other businesses come in here and they can actually see it firsthand.
No, it's fantastic. So let's look at this from an employee's perspective. So what would you say that John's Crazy Socks makes it? How did it make it such a wonderful environment? What do you do with the people to have that fun, to give them the ability to perform and thrive within your business that perhaps other businesses don't have?
Well, we can share what we do. Part of it is don't be blinded by a person's limitations. Be excited, be awed by the possibilities. And that doesn't just apply to people with a different ability. Our head of fulfillment, our Lord of the Socks, he's a young man who he'd never run a fulfillment operation before, never run a warehouse. But through interviewing him and getting to know him, we had a high level of confidence. He was going to come in, be committed. He was going to be learning and come up the learning curve. And he's been with us about 1.5 years now, and it's been fabulous. It's, it's not quite a formula, but it's the approach we take that you have to start by offering people a mission, a purpose worthy of their commitment. So individuals have to choose, right? It has to be something more than we're going to make money. And don't get me wrong, we want to make money. John and I, we like to live indoors. Right? But you've got to have something that makes it worthwhile. I mean, another thing that's going on here in the US, they're calling it the big quit or the big resignation. In November, the last month they had stats for, another 4 million people quit their jobs because it's like a big strike. They're saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to put up with this. But if you offer people something that's worthy of them, then they can get on board. And then, so that's one part. Then the second part is you have to make sure that everybody knows why their job matters. So we have somebody who's going to actually come back to work with us. She had worked with us in the past and left. We had to let her go when we had downturn. She's coming back. She's got a great job now. But her answer was, Mark, I'm just a cog in the machine. And I never felt that way there because she knew that her job mattered, and everybody does here. So if we do our own fulfillment, we run our own pick and pack warehouse. What do we call our pickers?
Sock wranglers.
Sock wranglers. And all of them have a different ability. And if you go to any one of them, they'll tell you what the mission is and why their job matters. Right? So that's part of it. To know that you're needed and what you do is valuable. And then the third, put people in a position to succeed. Don't ask people to do what they can't do, and set them up so they can do great work. So John here does many things in our business, but we don't ask him to do the finances. If our webmaster needs a certain tool, we'll get it for him. No, we don't have endless money, but you're going to do what you can. If you need a special chair, we'll get you that chair. My job, I'm at the bottom of the org chart because my job is to work for everybody else and put them in a position so they can succeed and go do good work. And then a fourth is recognize what people do. If they're showing up at work and they care about what they do and they're working hard, it's just a matter of saying, oh, I saw what you did over there. Christy, that was a really great TikTok video you made. Some of it is pay. You have to pay people fairly, but pay is never a motivator. It can be a demotivator, right? If you don't think you paid a fair amount, then that'll stick in your craw. But, bottom line is just say thank you. Appreciate what people do. And the last part is stay the hell out of the way. Point people in the right direction, let them know what they got to do, but give them autonomy to get that job done. So when you roll all that up, it's a place where people want to work. And that's really important to us and really excites us because it's our colleagues that make everything happen.
Yeah. So I guess one of the key things as well is that being a family business, you care. Basically, whereas other corporate companies, there isn't that care. They're an employee as much as anybody else in some respects.
Well, I want to be careful here. We don't refer to us as one big family. It's been hard. We had a downturn. We're running out of money. We had to let people go. You don't let people go in your family. Mm. What we do have is a community. We do have a community of shared values, shared interest. I'm always wary about saying, oh, we're all like one big family. That makes it a little patriarchal.
I see, yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. Listen, this business was built out of the love of a father and son. That permeates what we do.
Absolutely, yeah. Brilliant. I'm intrigued what you said earlier on, because you have a huge range. Was it 4,000 different socks?
Yeah.
Now, that's an incredible inventory to manage at the best of times. And before we started the podcast, we talked about seasonality. Can you explain to the listeners the challenges that you face and how you manage to overcome and deliver to your customers with such differences in seasonality?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things there. First, I'll talk about the 4,000 SKUs. We've had many smart people come in and say, you're crazy. You got to eliminate those SKUs. Our partners, when they came in, was like, no, we got to get this down under 1,000. Well, when we started together, we had about 1,800. Now, many of those, we break that down into SKUs that we're phasing out, so when it runs out, we don't order it again. We do have flexibility because from our suppliers, we can order in small quantities, but we got to maximize the choice for our customers. The seasonality, there's a very strong seasonality in our business, which is very challenging. In many ways, we have 3 seasons. Our spring, February, March, and April, we do fairly well. But once you head into the summer, people don't buy socks in the summer. And it's awful. It just feels awful. But then when we hit October, November, and December, we'll do 40% of our business in November and December. So there are a whole lot of challenges. One is, how do you prepare an inventory for that? How can we spread that out more? We are, by choice, in terms of number of choices, the world's largest sock store. But people view us as a gift store. So we're trying to break through on that and get people to recognize they can buy all year long. We do have, but even then, people don't buy socks in the summer. We do have a subscription program, and that's been growing. Our overall strategy should help on this. It's we're going to push our mission and our brand. Our brand is our mission. And we, to use some of the buzzwords today, we want to be omni-channel. We want to be everywhere. So today we sell directly through our website. We've now struck a deal with Zappos. We are the first sock company with their division working with people with different abilities. We are growing our B2B business. We've always had it, but it's been passive. So for the first time now, we've appointed somebody and then hired somebody new. We rearranged things and said, okay, let's actually go market that. And by October, we will be selling wholesale. So we'll be available in other places. So we're hoping that will raise the floor across the year. The other thing we're doing, we have very loyal customers. We treat them very well. We have 29,000 five-star reviews. Are you familiar with the Net Promoter Score?
Yeah.
We have our Net Promoter Score is a 92. It's off the charts. So one of the things we want to do, we're adding different types of products because there's only so many socks you can buy. So things that you could buy in the summer that will spread that out.
Yeah, balance the load. Yeah.
We are challenged with our workforce. So we have a core group of people that are full-time, and then we have other people that they work as we have work. We schedule everybody, our part-time workers, in 4-hour shifts. And the reason for that is, at least in the US, if you have a disability, you can get benefits. But if you earn too much money, if you work too much, you lose those benefits.
Right. Yeah.
So they can only work so many hours. So we make it easy for that to happen with 4-hour work shifts. And you can work 3 days a week. And so we're fortunate to have a flexible workforce like that. Though I feel pressure every day to increase the amount of work hours we have.
Yeah. So you touched on perhaps some geography in some respects there. So obviously, I guess you are extremely strong, obviously, in the US. Where else do you have huge presence, and where are your main targets nowadays then?
Well, overwhelmingly, we sell in the US. When we started, we said we would not sell outside the country because the shipping costs were so much, it didn't seem worthwhile. But then we had demands from customers saying, please ship to us. So we've shipped to 88 different countries, but only about 5% of our sales go out of the country. That's particularly challenging. The leading outside markets by far, it's Canada, the UK, Australia, oddly enough, Switzerland. I think the right way for us to do that would be to open subsidiaries or franchises within the country so that we can, do the shipping and deliver the service that we do. Mm. So it's hard to do international shipping and just like even tracking shipping is hard. We've worked with a number of the big shipping companies and none of them get it right.
Especially at the moment, I guess, with all the disruption in the supply chains. Yeah.
Well, that and, Australia, you couldn't ship anything into Australia during their lockdown. Yeah, and Brexit, we're a little company that had an impact on us.
Yeah.
Jumping through hoops to try to be able to sell in England.
Yeah. If you had problems getting product into your company, are your suppliers struggling with their workforce and materials and such?
The answer is yes. Everybody has. We've been able to manage that okay. But to give you some handle on it, our partners, they'll manufacture things overseas. A shipping container in the past might have cost $3,000. Today, $17,000. If you can get it.
Yeah.
And then can you get a trucker to take it from the port to your place? It's challenging. One of the things that we make clear to our customers, everything at our website we have in stock. It's in our warehouse. A lot of e-commerce businesses, they don't even order the product. It's drop shipping or they don't order the product until you place an order. So everything on our website we have in stock. The problem is if you run out of something, it can take time to get it back in.
Yeah. Interesting how you're coping with that. Certainly the challenges of today, and we touched on COVID again a bit earlier on and how that's impacted on your business. Can you give the listeners a little bit of an insight to the challenges that you've dealt with? Because it's obviously not like retail where you were closed, but as a manufacturing distribution, you're still operational.
We were open. New York State, where we're located, had shut companies down, but we were an exception because we were a distribution center. So we had just signed a deal with our strategic partners in late February, and March comes and here's the pandemic. Financially, it was very bad for us because usually March, April, May are big months. And frequently it's because of public events where everything got wiped out. Also, we had a bunch of media events lined up, national media appearances. They all got wiped out. So it cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, how do you adjust? Well, the first thing is you got to make sure everybody's safe. So we shut down at a point there was just three of us coming in here, John, my wife, and myself. We opened up, made sure everybody was safe. And then you look to see how can you adapt. So for us, we would host school tours. We moved those online. We did speaking engagements. We moved those online. And it opened new doors. So we spoke at 3 conferences in India. That was never going to happen. They weren't going to fly us there. Or we spoke at smaller school groups that if we had to go in person, it wasn't worth our while going, and they couldn't afford to pay us to come. But you could do that online. It also meant looking for new opportunities. So we sold masks. We sold, we saw that nonprofits were struggling because their events got wiped out. So we created a charity fundraising program. We have a concierge, a corporate gift program. Well, that used to be you put these gift packages together and deliver them to one place. So we worked with Google that was having a virtual conference for 700 people, and we created virtual gift bags for them. So you keep adapting and looking for new opportunities. For some of what we do, tell them what you do every Tuesday afternoon.
Every Tuesday, I hold a dance party every Tuesday at 3.
Right? That's a way to spread happiness. We created a Facebook Live show. You can't cry, you can't complain. You just have to keep finding a way to go forward. I think because we're a social enterprise, because we have a purpose, it gives us more opportunity and more flexibility. Because at the end of the day, we're not really a sock store. The socks are just a physical manifestation of our story and our purpose.
And that's coming across very clear. And you say about obviously your passion to give individual customers an individual service. I think that's a fantastic philosophy there, and you deliver on that.
Yeah. Once you're clear about what you're trying to do, so we have those 5 pillars. One of them is let's make it personal. Yeah. Well, it drives through everything you do, and everybody's on board. So I'll give you an example. We put candy in the packages, right? And you learn, right? What candy did we start with?
Every package get a second.
Yeah, but what candy did we start with?
100 Kisses.
Hershey's Kisses, which was great. The little chocolate bits.
Yeah.
Until we got the email from the woman in Florida saying, you can't be sending chocolate to the South. It's melted. So now we include Skittles. But one day, one of our happiness packers comes to us and says, we sell socks for diabetics, and we're selling these socks for diabetics, and then we're sending them candy. Yeah. So now we have a collection of sugar-free candy that if you order diabetic socks, you get. It's any way you can create a personal connection. So our, what you would call customer service reps, we call happiness creators. We don't monitor their calls. There's no timing on calls. There are no scripts because we want them to have conversations. That's what actual humans do. And, you've heard the old saw, the customer is always right. Nonsense. Customer can be dead wrong, but we're not in the business of being right. We're in the business of spreading happiness. So that's what we do. And that's what our happiness creators do. And they don't have to ask, they don't have to check. They can refund money, they can send extra socks, do anything they want to just make that person happy. And it works. And here's the thing, we give refunds at the drop of a hat. We guarantee happiness. If you're not happy, we don't want the socks back. Just tell us, we'll refund your money. We'll do something extra for you. And yet our refund rate is 0.5% of our revenue. Fantastic.
Yeah. Superb performance. My goodness. Well, I'm very conscious that time is marching. Before I ask one final question, we'd like to share, how do people buy your socks? Where do you live on the different social media channels? What's the best way to follow you?
Well, where can people get great socks?
I'll go at johncrazysocks.com.
johnscrazysocks.com. We are on every social media platform. Just look for John's Crazy Socks. We have 240,000 Facebook followers. So we're good there. And on Instagram, YouTube, we have our own channel. There are hundreds of videos. A lot of them are John dancing or our colleagues dancing, and now we're making more and more TikTok videos, and that's great fun. So there's lots of ways to connect with us. And if somebody wants to talk to us, the easiest way is just send an email to our service at johnscrazysocks.com, and we'll get back to them.
Brilliant, brilliant. I'm glad you guys are doing the dancing, because I'm hopeless at that. Oh dear. So let's just take the last 5 minutes, if that's okay. And what I see makes you stand out so fundamentally from others is that punching out at night, so to speak, is not the end of your day's work. So you absolutely live and breathe your passion for your products, your employees, your customers, and obviously making the world a happier and better place. So if you were to be giving a short brief to other business owners about how to cultivate such a life where work and personal life come together and become such a rewarding and positive experience, what would you say to them?
Know what matters. Know what matters. Know what your purpose is, what it's really about, and believe. We get to create our own world. In our situation, we have no excuses. There's no board to blame. There's no headquarters. It's us. And we get to decide how we want to live. We get to decide how we want to treat customers. If you have empathy, if you look to see where other people are coming from, you're going to be better off. Your business is going to be better off. And I'll give you a small anecdote. So a few months back, a woman called us up and she wanted to order some socks. Now, we only sell online. We don't sell over the phone. Unless you call us up, then we'll take an order over the phone. We're going to help you. And this woman also didn't trust credit cards, so she wanted to send a check. Well, what happened is by the time her check arrived, one of the socks that she wanted had sold out. So I'm overhearing this. I'm saying, well, wait a second. Why didn't we just ship the products right away? And my colleague said, well, we had to wait for the check to get here. I said, why? Dave, if you told me you were going to send me a check, would you mail me that check?
Absolutely, of course. Yeah, I'd have to trust that.
One person says that. So why don't we start by trusting that person? And my colleagues, well, can we do that? Well, it turns out we can do anything we want. Right? Well, what if it's a lot of money? And say, who cares? And we're not talking an anonymous person.
Sure.
We're talking somebody we had a phone conversation with. And then I went and looked. In 5 years, nobody's ever bounced a check. But that's an example of we get to determine how you want to be. And aren't we better off if you start off trusting people? Now, understand, if you break that trust, John's older brothers are large and aggressive men, and we will send them to your door. But if you think about, create a workplace where you'd want to work. Create a place where people could be excited to work. Everybody's better off. That's a bit what I'd share. I mean, we're not experts, but, I've been around enough. And at the end of the day, the two of us are just a couple of knuckleheads selling socks. And all we want to do is change the world. Right?
Fantastic. Brilliant note to leave on. And I'd like to say to you guys, thanks very much for these insights and nuggets of inspiration that you're sharing here. It's not something you hear an awful lot in We Talk Business, but it's been a fantastic conversation we've had today.
Well, thank you for having us on, right? Do you got any last words you want to share with people?
I do. Follow your heart. follow your dreams, work hard, so you can do.
Pretty good, pal.
So there's another Real Life Buyer podcast. I do hope you enjoyed it and it's given you some ideas and inspiration for greater action and achievement. If you are a purchasing or a supply chain professional, business owner or director, come and join my Facebook group, the Purchasing and Supply Chain Community Hub, a safe place to engage with like-minded, friendly people. See you soon. Bye.